All right, happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to Survive to Thrive. Today, I have a very special guest speaker. Man, I'm a fan of this individual. Uh, Kim Jera, can you take yourself off mute?
Yes.
Join me in the front of the room. Uh, the other people that are in the front of the room right now will get timed out. But Kim Jera, I want you to uh, take the call. You've got till 9:25. Guys, if you have questions, please write them down. Start raising your hand before 9:25 so we can go to questions at 9:25. Uh, I've got to know Kim Jera, I'd say in the last month or so, have been so impressed with her as a real estate agent. Uh, but she has so much more to offer. She is a master trainer and coach on marketing, just a pure genius. And Kim Jera, the call's yours.
Thank you. That was very nice. Thank you. All right. So, guys, most businesses say, here's who I am. Here's how great I am. Here's why you should buy from me. Does that sound familiar? It does, right? What's interesting, though, is that's not how people actually buy. And what I want to talk about today is how you can actually create a disruptive brand story or brand for yourself that will give you a competitive advantage in the market. Now, we know there are 1.5 million real estate agents on NAR. There's about 3 million that total, so some of them aren't on NAR, but there's a lot of people that do what you do, but they don't do it the way you do it. And so one of the most important things we can do is figure out how to differentiate ourselves. How do we figure out how we're going to be in the market and show up in a way that doesn't look, sound, feel exactly like every other agent out there? When you can do that really well, you will get more business every single day. So I put a little question in the chat. What do you think a brand is not? I commonly hear things like it's not a logo, it's not a promise, it's not the sum of all the impressions that you have in your business, right? On social media and on your website, etc. My favorite definition of brand comes from Marty Neumeier. He wrote the book Brand Zag and Brand Flip. And he says a brand is a person's gut feeling about a product, service, or organization. Their gut feeling.
Mhm.
So can we own our brand? No, right? We can't. And the reason we can't is because somebody else has to feel a certain way about who you are and what you do in order to refer business to you, in order to, want to buy, want to have you list their home, want to have you represent them as a buyer. They have to feel a certain way. So how do we create that? So there are three ways that I'm going to talk about today in the short amount of time that we have. The first is taking a look at what makes you unique. What makes you somebody who is completely unique in what you do? And that is what I like to call positioning. So you're trying to figure out what I say in the market is like how to outmaneuver sameness, how to outmaneuver what everybody else is sounding and looking like out there. So are you going to be the best? And how you do that and create that kind of a positioning statement is you figure out how to complete a statement. Like, I'm the only one who does this at this time for these people for this reason.
Hmm.
When you can complete that statement, and if you dissect that, I'm the only one, I'm the only real estate agent, right? And whatever title you're giving yourself, who does this, what makes you unique? Like, what do you do that's different? And at this time, right, in this location, wherever you're located, wherever you do business, are you national, global, local, specific to certain, areas? And and then why are you relevant right now? Like, why does it even matter that you're doing this? When you can figure that statement out, then you now have positioned yourself as something a little bit different. So let me give you some examples, okay? And we all have heard, hopefully we've heard this statement. When you try and market to everyone, you actually speak to no one. When you try and market to everyone, You speak to no one. And the reason that happens is because you don't have an audience that is specifically listening for your message. And so words truly matter. We see in brand all the time that it's all about what it looks like, right? Your logos, your fonts, your colors, like, no. That matters. You do have to look like you're put together. You have to look, I always say, at the value of what you're charging people for your services. But words are what sells. So when we're figuring out unique positioning, we're looking at, like, are you focusing on first-time home buyers? Is that your primary market? Okay, so think of like the who, what, how. Who are you targeting? What do they want from you? And how are you meeting that need in a way that maybe other people aren't? You know, are you a luxury agent and you're focusing over a certain price point in a very specific area and you offer very specific things? Are you a listing specialist? Do you have a certain type of guarantee? Do you have a certain type of strategy and way you go about that when you go and talk with them? So those are some things to think about. The second step in this is leveraging the power of storytelling. Story is your best friend. It is so incredibly powerful, you guys. When you can tell a fantastic story, and here's the caveat. I hate to break the news to you, but remember in the beginning I said we typically say, here's who I am, here's how great I am, here's why you should buy from me. Story isn't about me. I'm not the hero of my own story. If you get nothing else from today, I want you to walk away from today knowing that your client, your potential client, is the hero of the story.
100%.
Yes, when you can talk about them, when you can actually bring them up and talk about how you help them solve a major problem in their life, which is buying a home or selling a home. How you help them do that process in a specific way that relieves pressure, relieves anxiety, relieves stress, frustration, overwhelm, all the things that they may feel about that process. When you can tell a story that is really powerful and incorporates that first step, which is your unique positioning, all of a sudden they start to listen.
Kim, Jared, can I butt in here for a moment?
Yeah.
And this is good stuff, everybody. I hope you're taking notes. So this was a big part of my business. Still is, by the way. I'm just in a different business. So if I'm sitting at the listing table and somebody asks me, what are you going to do to market my home? I can respond to them directly and start giving them a list of everything that I'm doing. Or I can say, well, let me talk to you about Bob and Sally Smith. Let me share with you the experience of what we did in order to get their home sold. I tell real estate agents all the time, keep that experience as a story that you're going to keep in your back pocket because you're going to pull it out and use it again.
Yeah.
Am I on track? Is this a good example of what?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's great. And that story, what you're saying, John, is that story really then becomes about something you did for someone else that proves the point you're trying to say without actually having to say, look at me and look at what I did. Instead, you made Bob and Sally the winner in the story. And now those potential clients you're sitting in front of are going to think, oh, I want to feel and be like them. I want to experience that. And when they start to feel like that, you've got them, you guys. You've wrapped them around your finger because no one else is talking like that. Everybody comes in and thinks, I got to tell you all the amazing things about me because I got to convince you how great I am so that you'll buy from me or you'll work with me or you'll hire me. But people actually don't resonate with that. They just don't. And think of how you buy things every day. When you're searching online, you're not going, ooh, I'm looking for the one that's going to tell me all about how amazing they are. You're thinking, I have a problem to solve, and I'm looking for someone who's going to speak my language about what that problem looks like and how they're going to make my life or business better. That's ultimately what I'm looking for when I'm searching. And if you can't do that in the first 5 to 10 seconds, then I'm moving on to the next one. So this is very powerful. That was a great example, John. And even just learning how to repeat back to them things that they say. Okay, all you have to do is ask questions and listen and then repeat back. It's my favorite technique is, so I let them talk and then I just sit back and I'm like, okay, so would this be a good time? Do you mind if I take a minute and just reiterate what I've heard so far? And oh my God, they light up. They're just like, oh, yes, and you forgot this, or oh, and this too. And they give me even more information, but they're like, yes, you totally understand. I'm like, okay, I've got them. And I know I've got them at that point. And that's because I don't mean got them. I mean like they're listening to me is a better way to say that, I think. And I like that feeling where I truly, truly care and I want to understand. And so they see that I truly care and that I'm on their side and I'm not just trying to convince them of something, but I'm actually trying to help them.
Mm.
So the last step in this process is we have to then message this out. So once you figure out the power behind your unique positioning, then you figure out how you're going to tell a great story about them, and how you're solving their problems and making their life better through this process. Now we've got to take that out into the world, right? And we've got to take that brand messaging and brand strategy and communicate it. That's where we start to transition the conversation to more about, the tools that you have, right? And how you are now leveraging those tools to communicate that message out. So we all talk about how we're getting business, but website's my favorite tool. When I started doing luxury real estate, I don't know, a couple years ago, the first thing I did was build a website. So I do things a little bit different than probably what most people do. But the reason I do that is because that tool then becomes my credibility instantly. And I know that. So when
My phone's freaking out. Brandon, what?
Hold on one second. No, that's okay. I'm just gonna hit mute all because
okay.
sometimes we forget we have a live mic. Unmute yourself, Kimjera, and then pick up where you left off.
Okay, they just took a call, no worries. So website, like leveraging a tool like that can be really powerful, right? You want to get your message out there of what you're about and what their experience is going to be when they work with you. So you take all that great work. I built my website, moved to lakenorman.com. I'm in the process of transitioning it and revamping it again. But that has been an incredible tool for me to communicate. So when I'm trying to get a new lead, I instantly send that out to them and say, take a look. Guides and materials, like depending on how you're positioning yourself. Do you have a first-time home buyer guide? Do you have a relocation guide? Do you have a welcome guide? Do you have your favorite vendors? Do you have lending 101? You're the expert. So how are you taking that? Those are all tools that you utilize that you instantly can give out and leverage that messaging that you've created externally. So I've created tools like that so that when I'm, get a new lead in and they're not sure, I can instantly just send them a guide and say, hey, take a look at my guide. And they read that, they get to know me. I'm really storytelling. It's all about them, right? And I'm getting them to know that I've done all this research and got all these great tools and I'm giving. Like John always talks about give before you withdraw, right? So I'm doing that and just trying to be of service to people. The other things, social media obviously is another tool. Are you going to do a podcast? Does it feel good for you to do, a YouTube channel? There's so many avenues and ways that you can take this message and transition it out into the marketplace in a way that's going to get you more business. Do you like blogging? How is your email marketing? What are you communicating? Instead of the standard emails about a home, how are you positioning that to where you're making it something that they might want to look at through the titles and the words, etc. So that just gives you kind of that's like an overview of a starting point, I think, to develop a brand. I want to leave you with, you are your own personal brand. I do think that all of you understand that. What we don't usually know is like, how do we go about actually making that something that is, that other people are going to want to experience and are going to believe in, and they're going to listen, they're going to perk up and listen. And that's where when you narrow that target audience down and you try now it doesn't mean you can't sell to anybody, but when you make your brand about speaking to someone. So I'll leave you with an example of mine. So move to lakenorman.com. I'm in Charlotte, Lake Norman area. I offer free staging for sellers, expert relocation services for buyers, and negotiation strategies that protect your bottom line. Those are my promises, right? So I have built that business In the next couple weeks, I'm launching kimjera.com, and on that, I'm the number one global real estate expert for luxury global moves. So again, how you deciding how you're going to position yourself will make the whole entire brand process that much easier. And then the icing on the cake and the fun part is you make it look pretty. So I'll open it up to questions.
So I'll start with questions. Guys, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Don't be shy, get in here. A couple of these questions I should have asked you right at the beginning, so my apologies. Uh, Kim Jarrah, so I met you through Beth Preston, I want to say maybe a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I think my timeline is right. Um, just give all of us who maybe don't know your story a quick overview of your real estate career. How long have you been doing this? What's business look like? You focus on luxury listing, which I think is really interesting because a lot of the listeners on Survive to Thrive want to be a part of this. Um, maybe it's easier than they think. Maybe it's harder. I don't know.
Yeah.
But just give us a little bit more about you and what you've accomplished so far in your real estate career.
Yeah, so just quick background. I was in corporate America for over 23 years running sales and marketing for big medical companies. Started a marketing agency about 8 years ago. Started real estate. It's been my passion forever. I've always been one of those crazy people that everywhere I go, I'm Googling, like, what's this house worth? So about 2 years ago, I started. So I'm in my second year right now. My first year, I did about 7.2 million. And this year I just did my numbers. I've got under contract 18, sold and under contract 18.5 million and about 26 transactions. So some are luxury real estate, which is what I specialize in, but some of them are every day. So again, doesn't mean that I'm limiting myself in that. But yeah, I'm in year 2 right now.
18.5 million in year two. Uh, I think I'd have my hand up right now. Don't you think, Leanne? I think I'd have some questions for Kim Jarrah. So I'm going to turn it over to the audience. Kim Jarrah, I'm proud of you. Just
No,
really proud of
thanks.
you and honored to be in business with you. Uh, thank you for the opportunity. It means a lot.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Anna, let's go.
So, question about storytelling. Since I'm a new agent, I will be at a listing appointment on Saturday. How do I utilize that as a new agent? Because I don't have a story to tell. I can't just be like, hey, I did so and so for this client or that client. I don't have any clients yet. So, how do I storytell when I don't have anything to say?
That's that's a great question, Anna. And here's the thing again. This is what makes it so fun and easy. The story is not about you. That's what takes all the pressure off. The story is about them. So the story you're going to tell is how you're going to ask questions and then you're going to find out what they say matters to them. And then you're going to figure out how what you do is going to help them get that, help them win the day, right? Think of a movie, right? The last 10 minutes of the movie, the hero wins the day. They get what they ultimately wanted that they couldn't get at the beginning of the movie. And we're excited and cheering for them. That's you. So you're going to be a cheerleader to help them figure out what they need. Do they want to sell fast? Do they want to make a certain amount of money on the sale? Do they want the process to be easy because the last 3 experiences they had were overwhelming? You just find out what they want and then you share with them how you're going to solve that problem for them and make that better for them.
Good stuff. Anna, I'd say you have an advantage. You have an advantage and you don't know it. You have an advantage because you're going into that appointment excited for the opportunity, dedicated, committed to seeing that seller's goals accomplished, where most other real estate agents that if you're competing for the listing, are focused on put a sign in the front yard, sell the house, get a check. You got this. Let's go,
Amen.
John.
Yes, hey, Kimjera, thank you for coming on and giving us all of this information. I one question. I don't have problems with the storytelling. I'm a Tweety bird. Uh, what's your vehicle of delivery? So I know you do the website. Do you do YouTube, TikTok, any of those things? What do you think resonates most with clientele in the luxury space?
Yeah. So I started a TikTok in the beginning. You'll see I have a TikTok channel and I haven't done anything with it. So I'm actually going to be taking it down because that's not the luxury space. I have a lot of people in my network from all my years of business on LinkedIn. So I'm transitioning. That's where kimjera.com website's coming from. In the next couple months, next couple weeks, that'll be launched. And then I'm transitioning more over to LinkedIn. But I use also use Instagram and Facebook because I have I think I have like 8,500 followers on Instagram and over 5,000 on Facebook and another 5,000 on LinkedIn. So I leverage probably those three channels the most. And then for me, I'll probably move into like videos and a video strategy of some sort. I just haven't quite decided yet how I'm going to go about that. But yeah, luxury is a little bit different. It's more, you go deeper with each person. It takes a little bit longer, but once you work with someone, they will refer you again and again if you do a great job.
Great stuff.
Awesome.
All right, Birgit, you're up. Darren, you're on deck. And that'll be a wrap for today, guys. I got 9:29. Let's go.
I just want to give a quick shout out to Kim Jarrett. This was absolutely amazing. Thank you. And I want all of my new agents watching this to allow themselves to be just that humble. You know, you have to figure out how to make this business work. I had one of my newer agents, she created just quick a positioning statement. She's like, I don't know what to say. And so she came up with, I want others to have the experience that I didn't have. And I thought for her, just to come out of the gate, it was a wonderful positioning statement. Anyways, Kim Jera, I am at awe of what you have accomplished and so many great nuggets to share. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Let's go, Darren.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I have a question about brand. So I have two companies. One's a custom home building company, and then the other company is my real estate team. And my website, Mancuso Homes, which is primarily my 2,500 visitors a month. So we've got about 57,000 visitors to our website year to date. However, I'm not converting a lot of people. I don't think that people think about us as a real estate team, even though we sell $40 million worth of real estate per year, which is mostly my agent's sphere. And some of it's Zillow leads and pay-per-click and some stuff like that, but most of it is sphere. So how do I help people recognize that we have that other component to our business when
Yeah.
they think about me?
So that's actually a great question. What I do, and that's kind of what you're seeing, you're going to see eventually with my two different sites, is you need to have separate entities. They're separate brands. And then they connect to each other through linking, right? So for my local and the people who are here in Lake Norman and Charlotte, they'll go to that site. For my global, my cross country movers, my relocators, my multi-million dollar, they're going to go to kimjera.com and then I'm going to link over. But I think if you're trying to do it all in one, that's where strategy and messaging gets really important because it gets convoluted. So
Right.
when I work with companies like you all the time, and I'll say like we've got to separate it out.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm
But
trying to leverage a little bit what I have traffic wise to my building company. And also, let's say that we're building $1 million homes, 150 past clients that have done $600,000 renovation or a multi-million dollar reno. I want my listing sign in their front yard when it comes time because I know everything about that house. So I'm trying to market to them not only as their builder, but somebody that can help them sell that house when the time comes.
So you can absolutely do that. It's all again about strategy because if someone's going to your site and they find you because you're a builder, that's what they think that you are. So you've got to figure out other ways to connect with them. So that might be email marketing, that might be through a LinkedIn video strategy. That might be, there's so many strategies, podcasts, etc. So I think if you just want to pick my brain, I'm happy to have a conversation with you separately and we can
Thank you.
talk through it. But
Appreciate it.
the beautiful part is you're successful and doing well. It's just figuring out how to get that messaging across clearly and not confuse people. By the way, that's my last tip point for today. When you confuse people, you lose people. It's one of my favorite sayings from Donald Miller.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I think that was great. Uh, Darren, I would listen to the coach. The coach says separate the businesses. That's what I would do. Okay. There you go, my friends. Jara,
Thank you.
absolutely brilliant stuff. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. That is a wrap. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Enjoyed it. So great to
Thank
see you,
you.
Jara. See everybody tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Make it a great day.
Thank you. Thanks.